Good morning and welcome to our presentation on job application tips and harvest job opportunities for Coswine. Good morning, my name's Ed Milne. I'm the National Manager for Coswine. This presentation will cover some job application tips and the current harvest job opportunities that we have in the Hunter Valley and Central Western New South Wales. We are still getting a few people joining, so I'm just giving this another minute before we get underway properly, but I thank you for joining us and hope that this presentation can give you some assistance in job seeking. Coswine is a national business. We offer innovative employment solutions to the food and wine growing regions across Australia. We are a trusted industry leader and partner, and we are a very good avenue for job seekers to find employment in food and wine processing regions across Australia. What we would like to talk about first is job applications and some of the tips that may assist you when seeking for work and to improve the outcomes from all of the different applications that you may make when searching for your new job, your next job, or your first job. One of the key things that you need to be able to get correct all of the time to get to an interview when you're looking for work is to have your resume in the best possible format so that it is easy to read, highlights the skills that are applicable to the job that you're applying for, and gives you an outcome that you're seeking. And the outcome that you're seeking is generally for a recruiter or a HR human resources person to stop and put your resume on the yes pile. I want to speak to this person by phone or face to face, and not on the no pile. Some of the most common mistakes are spelling errors and inconsistent formatting. So different sized text, having different indents, or changing the type and style of text across your resume. Your resume should be about you and about your life and your work experience, but it should not be too long. 3 to 4 pages is plenty, and if you're a school leaver, 2 pages is absolutely fine. You should emphasize achievements that you have earned across your working and school career. For example, if you're a school leaver and an advert is asking for people to be self-motivated and self-starters, if you were in the rowing crew, which is an early morning 5 a.m. start out on the water, you should list that as an achievement because it does show that you have the capacity to be that early riser, self-starter, and that you've got motivation to chase down something that's important to you. The most important thing about your resume is addressing selection criteria and not just having one resume for every job that you apply to. You need to tailor the content, the layout of your resume to each and every job that you apply to so that it stands out from everybody else. It's a little bit like a brochure for a car. Someone will hand it to you. If it doesn't grab you in the first 2 or 3 to 6 seconds, you're probably going to put it down. That's how your resume needs to stand out. Some of the first things that a recruiter or a human resources should read are you highlighting the skill sets that were on the advert that are relevant to this job. When you get that right, you will succeed more often in proceeding through to interview. Your covering letter is just as important. Some adverts will ask you for a covering letter and some will not. But your covering letter should be addressed directly to the person named on the ad. If there is a reference on the advertisement, you should include that in the cover letter. You should highlight your skills as they relate to the requirements of the job and give examples, just like the rowing example that I gave before. If you have had a hobby of renovating furniture, that would be highly relevant for any application for a carpentry apprenticeship or a general building apprenticeship. If you've had a love of helping people around you, parents, brothers, sisters, converting old cars and doing them up, that would be an excellent example to use for work within an automotive technician apprenticeship or similar. We do have at our job booth at the fair examples of cover letter guides and some tips as well that you can go and click on and download and use those tips for your next application. In the changing COVID environment, there are multiple changing interview styles, types, and patterns. The most common and the older style type of interview is face-to-face. It's where you should be well presented, arrive early. It can be one-on-one or it can be a group setting. In some cases, you may have multiple interviews and multiple face-to-face interviews. It is highly important that you come to that interview dressed as you would for the job or as neatly and smartly as possible. So if you are going for an apprenticeship, the neat, casual attire is perfectly acceptable. If you're looking at office work, you should be dressed as you would to go into an office. In our current COVID environment, the uptake of remote interviews has increased and will continue to increase across the coming months as we all look towards less contact in our onboarding processes. When doing video and telephone interviews, you should plan on being somewhere quiet, comfortable, with limited movement behind you, and where you feel you can present yourself in the best possible manner. Always ensure that you have charged your device that you're going to use, that you've got good coverage for the internet, and that you are presenting yourself as you would for a face-to-face interview. There is a new type of interviewing process called one-way interviews, where people can send you pre-recorded questions and you record your responses to them and they are sent back to the human resource professional managing that recruitment process. There are a number of different platforms that are used and 90% of them don't require you to download anything. You just need access to the internet. I'd like to talk now a little bit about Harvest Trail jobs. Harvest Trail Services is an initiative of the federal government, and there are 12 regions across the country where Harvest Trail service providers like Coswine link job seekers, school leavers, working holiday makers with farmers for harvest work. I want to bust a couple of myths about harvest work. Harvest work is generally short in nature, 4 to 6 to 12 weeks at a time. However, there is an opportunity through harvest trial service providers to link yourself with different jobs in different regions and different crops, and actually have employment for a good chunk of the year. It's something that grey nomads do as they travel around the country on a working holiday, and it's something we encourage school leavers to consider to help them gain financial independence before moving into apprenticeships, traineeships, or university. The region that Coswine covers is the Hunter Valley and Central Western region of New South Wales. It's a large region stretching from West Wyalong in the southwest to Maitland in the northeast, and includes the Hunter Valley region, southwestern slopes, and a part of the Riverina. We are a regional recruiter specialising in wine, food and agriculture, and we run this program for the Australian government in that region. We currently have multiple opportunities across the Central West, with the first crop being cherries. In and around Young, Orange and Mudgee in New South Wales, there are, in any given year, roughly 3,500 positions available for people to come and pick cherries. Now, most cherry trees in Australia now, especially around Young, do not require any ladder work. They are pruned to be accessible to somebody standing, and the work runs from early morning until about mid-afternoon before the worst of the heat of the day. You will find adverts for these positions, as well as pack house positions where you actually pack the cherries for market, and other positions on the job board in the virtual jobs fair. Across a full year, jobs that are available to harvest employees include fruit picking, so stone fruit, apples, oranges, grapes to make wine, table grapes. You could be pruning trees and vines in the off season, so through the winter months. It includes flower planting, growing and picking for market. You could be planting and picking vegetables. Or for any of those crops, you could be doing some initial processing and then packing near or on farm for that produce to then be moved to market. So, how do you get into and hold a position in some harvest trail work? You can visit our website, which is www.coswine.com.au, and there is a section there where you can click through to go to Harvest Trail. You can search for jobs from that platform. There are guides and user guides there for you to be able to look at, download and use. You can also find a link there to the Harvest Trail website, where there is a clickable live map that will allow you to zoom into regions in Australia, click on jobs, see how many positions are available, what the position entails, whether there is transport, accommodation, how long the job is for, and from that same website you can then apply directly to those positions. The links that we've provided on the job board in this virtual jobs fair take you to the Harvest Trail website. Our most immediate need is around Young, Orange and Bathurst regions. It is inland from Sydney. And as I said earlier, there is roughly 3,500 positions available across the next 2 to 3 months. moving from young and then moving north as the seasons progress. This is a better breakdown of where we need people and when. Currently, we are recruiting for, and so are farmers, 2,700 cherry pickers and packers around Young. And then immediately after, roughly 1,500 cherry pickers and packers around Orange and up in towards Mudgee. The beauty of Harvest Trail, looking at the website and engaging with providers like Coswine, is that we can then do what the right-hand side of this frame shows you, which is link you up with wine grape picking and processing after Christmas, apple picking and packing around Young and Orange, as well as a growing wine industry around Orange where you can be engaged in wine grape picking and processing as well. There are multiple skill sets that you are able to learn across a harvest period, and in many instances for school leavers and job seekers, there is the opportunity for upskilling while you're working. There may be some funding through different programs to enable you, where needed for ongoing employment, to be able to do things like confined space training, forklift training, and other training to make you more valuable to a prospective employer and to be able to find work more easily moving forward. The Harvest Trail and Harvest Trail jobs are an excellent opportunity as well for you to be able to do a working holiday at home instead of traveling overseas, because we can't at the moment. It is an excellent opportunity for you to be able to see scenery, vineyards, amazing landscapes as you would on an overseas holiday right here in our own backyard. The different crops and the different months that they're available. Some of these crops aren't in the Central West or Hunter, but are either north or west of the region that I'm talking about. But there are Harvest Trail services providers right across the east coast of Australia and across the Northern Territory and into the west. But for those living in and around the Hunter, we are able to offer and find employment with you. And as that employment draws to a near, if there's a peak in a region near us, we would most certainly be looking to be able to refer you through to other people and other providers in other areas. Each area of the region that we work in is reasonably unique, but you should expect the following to be reasonably similar across each of the towns that you would need to be near for harvest work. There are buses and trains and other public transport that can get you to the major towns, but it is worth remembering that some farms are between 5 and 20 kilometres or more from a town, and this needs to be considered. Sometimes there is the availability to tap into other transport in the region. Some backpacking hostels, for example, have buses that sometimes run between towns and farms that you may be able to make use of. Accommodation is a range of backpacking hostels, caravan parks with comfortable cabins or camping spots, and then all the way through to hotels, but this depends on your budget. Accommodation for the cherry picking season is mostly on farm, with other options still being explored and developed as we move closer to the start of harvest. But there are accommodation options available to you. We will assist in referring job seekers to farmers and horticultural employers as a part of the Harvest Trail program, and we will assist you in finding information about accommodation and transport options. With any move into the country in summer comes the challenge of pests and bugs on the job. Being safe in harvest work Means checking your shoes, your gloves, your hats and other items before you put them on when you get to work or when you come back to work after a break. A good rule is not to place items on the ground, to leave them on your person wherever possible, or have them up away from the ground. Some pretty important things to remember are that snakes are scared of humans. They don't like us all that much. If you leave them alone, generally they will move away from you or just stay where they are. Same with spiders. Check your gloves and make sure that you check your hat before you put them back on when you go back to work after a break or before you start work in the morning. Pay rates for harvest work. Pay rates vary between piece rates and hourly rates. The rate of pay is based on the applicable award, which most normally is the horticultural award. The hourly rate, the base hourly rate, is a minimum hourly rate and must be the minimum amount that you are paid. As a harvest trail services provider, we do have a responsibility to check the pay rates being applied to people that we have referred through to farmers to ensure that you are being paid the correct rate of pay. Piece work or piece rates work slightly differently. They are rates that are constructed based on activity, so based on kilogram of product, bucket of product, or other volume or weight. The piecework rate, though, must enable an average competent person to earn at least 15% more than the minimum hourly casual rate for the applicable level. What that means is the piece rates are there so that if you can work quickly, accurately, and without damaging crop, that you can earn way above award rates. Piece rates are not there to exploit or pay people less than the award. To be paid piece rates, you must enter into a genuinely open agreement in writing with your employer. Both people must sign that agreement. Piece rates are an excellent opportunity for people that have capacity and capability to earn very good money across a harvest period. If you need any further assistance with your harvest trail job search, if you'd like to find out more about work opportunities during semester breaks, school holidays, if you're a job seeker and are looking for ongoing work, or you just have more questions that you didn't get to ask or answer at the end of this presentation, please contact us. You can email Rob in Bathurst with the email address supplied, or you can visit our website and make inquiries through those channels. I'm now going to answer some of the questions that are coming through on the chat. We do have 30 vineyard hand positions currently advertised in Cessnock. They are for next year, for January, and we are recruiting for them now. It is not uncommon for a lot of these positions to be advertised multiple weeks, sometimes multiple months in advance. As an example, in the Barossa Valley in South Australia, we are almost finished recruiting for and providing job offers to people for vintage in 2021 commencing late January. So it does pay to check the Harvest Trail website periodically to ensure that positions that you may be interested in haven't already been advertised quite early. Thank you for that question. And I think that Rob has potentially given a further answer to that question. If nobody else has any other questions that they would like to have answered, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sitting through the presentation. It will be available on our YouTube channel later today, and we will leave it up there so that people can go online and click on the appropriate parts where the presentation has links embedded within it. All of those links are also available at our booth in the virtual jobs fair, and all of the positions that we've described during this presentation are available on the jobs board in the virtual jobs fair.